Theruvan Sarnai. In our last sermon, we were talking about the false existence of love. I think you all realize that. Once you achieve your salvation, you will feel love and you will be the love. Then you don't have to love anyone or anything because you are the love and you can live happily. Until that, as you know, you all have to suffer. Not once in a while, but all the time. You don't have to cry. Crying is not suffering. Vexation is suffering. You are vexed. I know you don't believe this, ladies and gentlemen, because you can manage vexation up to a certain level. Therefore, you think that you are okay. You think that you are happy. You think that you have everything. Therefore, you don't try to achieve your salvation. Perhaps you think that this is your salvation because you have everything what you need. Therefore, you don't try to achieve your salvation. That's why the Buddha asks us to understand suffering. Understand the condition that you have been going through in this life. Vexation is created. And at the same time, you can come out of vexation by doing something. You have learned a lot. You have 1,000 methods to come out of vexation. That's why you went to school. That's why you studied. That's why you got your degree, your PhD. You learned how to come out of vexation. Actually, there are two ways. One is coming out of vexation, and the other thing is stop vexation. That means you have to stop the process. That's one method, and the only method if you really want to stop this. Otherwise, you can come out of vexation by doing something. The Buddha knew the first method, how to stop the process of vexation. But the society, your society didn't know about that. Therefore, your society taught you how to come out of vexation. From the nursery you went to. We learned how to look, how to see, how to hear. Then if we can't hear, then we create a sound and hear. If you don't have a song to hear, then you create it, you sing, and listen to it. Various methods. But we didn't know that a wanting to listen to something is vexation. We thought that if we don't have something to listen, that is vexation. Therefore, you studied and learned to sing. Now you are a good singer. You can sing and listen to it and be satisfied. You can be satisfied very quickly, ladies and gentlemen. Therefore, you think that vexation is bearable or that is not vexation. But when you can't do something, even though you try, you can't come out of vexation, then you feel vexation even more. Then you think that you are vexed. Now you start crying. It happens very rarely. Therefore, you think that your life is okay. But finally, if you think about your life, then you will only feel vexation. Nothing happened. You wanted to achieve something and you achieved it. Again, you wanted to achieve something and you achieved it. You didn't want to achieve something and you didn't achieve it. That's your life. Do you have anything else? You wanted to achieve something. Achieve means to listen to a song. That's also a good achievement. Not only to become a doctor. If you wanted to listen to a song, then you had to do something to listen to a song. Perhaps you had to buy. You had to buy a set. You had to buy a song. And you had to listen. You had to allocate some time. By doing all these things, you achieved it because you wanted and you achieved it. You wanted to eat something and you achieved it. By achieving that, you were satisfied. Then look at your life. If you can look at your past life means not the past life, not the previous life I'm talking about, your past, then you see that you had a wanting and you did something and you experienced pleasure. That's your life. Then you used to think that that is life. You elaborate life as an emotional roller coaster. That is life. But you wanted to be happy. But you were okay with your life. But the problem is, you can't have those things at the same time. You can't be happy and you can't have an emotional roller coaster. You can't face ups and downs if you want to be happy. Then we have a method, we have a way. That's what the Buddha taught us. We don't agree with ups and downs. That doesn't mean that we agree with ups. We don't agree with that. This is wrong, ladies and gentlemen. This is also wrong. Your life is like this. Actually, your life is like this. Not only your life. The entire universe is like this. The entire universe is neutral. But you interpret it. You interpret it and you perceive ups, which means pleasure, and downs, which means vexation. You perceive these things. But your life moves forward neutrally. But if you don't have any path, then you should agree with the society, then you should believe that life is an emotional roller coaster. Or you can think that this will also pass. That's also a good method to forget things. When you experience sadness, when you experience vexation, because you lost something, then you can think that this is a passing cloud. This will also pass. And be happy. How is that? But you have to do this forever, because you will feel these things all the time. When you feel these things, you have to make your mind up by thinking that this will also pass. But when this happens, when you experience pleasure, you never think like that. Then you don't want that to pass. You try to keep it with you. But when this happens, perhaps you have learned to think that it will also pass. It is a passing cloud. It will pass. You don't have to do all these things if you can understand the truth. If you can realize your own life, you don't have to think like that, ladies and gentlemen. Or if you want to think this way, then think that you are God. Anyway, if you had to create something and think about it and make your mind up, then think that you are God. If you want someone, then think that you are her husband or his wife. Just think. But you know that by thinking, you can't at least suppress your suffering. You have to suffer, ladies and gentlemen, because suffering is created. Suffering is created because you can't understand your own life. You can't understand nature. You can't understand the universe. The universe is neutral, but you always perceive ups and downs. It is neutral. But when you think that, if it is neutral, then we don't need that. Because you used to live like this. And you know that when you were vexed, just after that vexation, you would experience pleasure. Then when you get attached to this, then perhaps you like this as well. Unbeknown to you. You like downs. Because you know that just after this, when you do something to come out of vexation, you will experience this. But I'm telling you, ladies and gentlemen, your life is fantastic. You don't have to experience these things. You just need to experience your life, the reality of your life, your real life, your real mind. Right now, what you experience is the ego. The ego has these things because the ego likes dramas. Therefore, the ego wants ups and downs, vexations and pleasure. The ego wants to experience all these things because the ego thinks that it's an entity. Therefore, that the ego wants to maintain that entity. Therefore, if the ego is created, you can't be happy. You can try to be happy. That's what you have been doing. Always, you wanted to be happy. Until today, did you achieve your happiness? Have you achieved your happiness? No. You couldn't do that because you try to be happy. You do something, always you do something to be happy. You travel to be happy. You sing to be happy. You dance to be happy. You participate in parties to be happy. You always spend your life, which means your time and life, both of them are the same. You can't spend time without life. Then you always spend your life to make yourself happy. But still you are doing that, and you have been doing that, and you will do this forever. That's why the Buddha came to this world and introduced this to us. The reality of the life, the reality of nature. Therefore, let's talk about that, ladies and gentlemen. I want you to understand this properly. I want you to understand about your mind. I want you to understand about your body. I want you to understand about nature. Then finally you will realize that you are nature. You are nothing but nature. You are not an entity. You are everything. When you are everything, you don't have any borders, you don't have any limits. But right now you have limits. You can only see me. You can't see this. What do I do? You can't see this because you have limits. I'm not saying that once you achieve your salvation, you can see through. But once you achieve your salvation, you don't want to know what did I do here? Because when I do something here and something here, you think that these two are two different things. Because always you perceive entities. You think that this is unique and this is also unique. This is separate and this is also separate. This is an entity and this is also an entity. Always you perceive entities, therefore you think that this one is completely different than this. Perhaps I hide something here. Now you want to know about this. You want to know about, but I show you. You can see this, but now you want to see this as well because you believe that these two objects are two different things. You don't believe that these two are nature. Because you don't believe that you are nature. If you are nature, you don't have to see your face, ladies and gentlemen. But right now, you are not nature to you. But to nature, you are nature. Therefore, nature doesn't want to see you, but you want to see nature. Therefore, you fix a mirror and you go in front of the mirror and you always look at your face. Because you think that that mirror and you are two different things. But one day you will realize that the mirror and you and the chair, the table, whatever you have in your room, everything is the same. If everything is the same, then you don't have to look. Whatever you can see is enough. That's why the Buddha said, ditte ditta matta. Whatever you see, whatever you can see is enough. Because if these two are the same, then when you see this, it's like you are seeing this. But I know you can't understand this because this one and this one are two different things. To you, but to nature, they are the same. Just imagine this. Let's assume that you don't have a wanting to see this. Okay? You don't have a wanting to see this. And you don't have a wanting to see this as well. Okay, now I'm going to show you these two. Now tell me, which one do you want to look? Do you want to see? You don't want to see any of them. Now you can see if you don't have a wanting, you don't want to see. If you don't want to see, no matter how colorful that is, you don't want to see it. You don't have any difference after that. But if you have a wanting, now there is a difference. There is a difference, therefore you have to see. You have to perceive. A wanting is created in your mind if you think that these two are separate entities. But when I say this, you should definitely, right now, you should believe that, or you have a belief that these two are two entities. And you perceive that these two are entities. Therefore, let's understand about these things. Let's understand about nature. Don't try to create a new nature, ladies and gentlemen, because we need to understand nature. We can't change or we can't separate nature. Otherwise, you will create nature. This is like when I ask, how do you define nature? Then you will. If I ask you to draw nature, then you will draw nature, and inside that you will draw animals and human beings and trees and flowers. Then you think that nature exists of these things because you always perceive these entities. But you use the word nature, but you perceive different items. If you really want to perceive different items, then you have to use flower nature, tree nature, man nature, animal nature. You have to use that word. But we don't use these words. We only use nature. We only use nature because nature is everything, and everything is nature. You can't separate anything. And because of our defilements, we perceive everything as entities, as different items, different entities. That's why we want to perceive all these things. Otherwise, whatever you perceive is enough for you. Then you won't have any expectation to perceive anything. If you don't have a wanting, you don't have an expectation to perceive anything. Otherwise, just imagine that if you don't tame your mind, how many things will you have to perceive in your life? If you can count until today, how many things have you perceived? That was your life. Perceiving is your life. Perhaps you think that you are a doctor. No. Perceiving is your job, and perceiving is your life, because you always want to perceive. You always want to perceive because you believe that everything is an entity. Therefore, if everything is different, now you have to go through each and everything. Seeing or perceiving one is not enough. You have to go through each and everything. You can't stop that. Even though you want to stop, you can't do that because this is a process and that process occurs. No one can stop that. The process itself should stop. In order to do so, we need to understand the process. How the mind is defiled, how we feel vexation, and the false sense of existence. We have to understand that process. Then when we realize that it's a process, now we know what to do. Otherwise, you will try to stop that. When you try to stop that, you have created an entity, and that entity tries to stop the other entity. Until you understand this process, actually you will try to achieve your salvation. That means the ego will try to destroy the ego. Will it happen? The ego will try to destroy the ego. When you want to achieve your salvation, that means the ego wants to achieve your salvation, achieve his salvation, its salvation. But the ego doesn't want to commit suicide. Therefore, the ego never does this, ladies and gentlemen. It pretends. Therefore, we need to understand this process. It starts with ignorance. It starts with ignorance. That's why the Buddha said, we need to understand this and eradicate the ignorance. We need wisdom for that. To achieve wisdom, we need the Dhamma. We need to understand the reality of nature. Therefore, this is the main enemy you have. Not the main enemy, actually. This is the creator of your all enemies and all beloved one. Because of this, you have wantings. Because of this, you have attachment. Because of this, you have vexation. Because of this, you perceive the false sense of existence. Because of this, you think that you are a human being. Because of this, you think that you are a teacher, or you are a mother, or you are a father. Because of this, you suffer. The only answer is wisdom. Therefore, let's achieve wisdom. Let's achieve wisdom. To achieve wisdom, let's discuss about the Dhamma. The Dhamma means the reality of nature. Therefore, the Buddha taught us 3 characteristics. Anicca, dukkha, anatta. Let's talk about that. Anicca. That is a characteristic of nature. Let's talk about anicca and realize the truth. In order to achieve wisdom, in order to eradicate ignorance, there's only one path: to understand the reality, to understand nature. Then we have to go through nature, which means those characteristics. First thing is anicca. Anicca means actually it is not impermanence, because nothing is permanent or impermanent in this world. In order to be permanent or impermanent, there should be existence. But if the existence is false, we can't find anything permanent or impermanent. That doesn't mean that nothing in this world. That's why the Buddha introduced that word, anicca, that characteristic. He saw that and he taught us. Anicca. People believe that there is a natural tendency of energy to create something. Therefore, this exists. If there is a natural tendency to create something, if there is a natural tendency to create something, this exists. And something fixed can exist. But the Buddha saw that there is no such thing called fixed entities in this world. Everything is anicca, which means there is not a tendency to create anything. It's only an effect. Energy is gathered to create an effect. Therefore, this is an effect because energy is gathered and this manifests. This is only a manifestation. This is not an entity, or this is not a fixed object. This is a manifestation because energy is used to manifest this. Because energy is anicca. Not only energy, but also this is also anicca. Therefore, you can't use this to create a fixed object. There is no such thing called fixed object. It is also a manifestation. This is a manifestation, and if you use this one to create something, now that is also a manifestation. If you talk about hydrogen atom, this hydrogen atom is a manifestation because it consists of electrons, protons. If we add neutrons as well, now electrons, protons, neutrons, subatomic particles. Then when subatomic particles are used to create this, if subatomic particles are also anicca, then this one is also anicca. Therefore, you can't use hydrogen to create a fixed object or fixed thing. Therefore, if you use water, if you use hydrogen to create water, this water molecule is also an effect. This is also a manifestation. A water molecule manifests. This is not fixed. You can't create this and you can't destroy this. This is only a manifestation. Energy is gathered and something manifests. If this is fixed, you can break it. But you can't break this because this is not fixed. This is only a manifestation. A manifestation can't be broken. In order to break something, it should be fixed. This is, again, I had to use the same word over and over again. This is only a manifestation. I can't break this pen. Perhaps you say, why don't you? Why can't you? Why can't you break this? I can break. Perhaps you can say that. You can't break this. You will. But that is not breaking. Actually, what you did is you apply some energy and separate energy into two parts. Because this pen is a pen. This pen is not a pen, ladies and gentlemen. This is energy. This is full of energy. I will say condensed energy. If this is condensed energy, how can you break this? You can apply external energy into this. Let's apply external energy. Then, now, when you apply energy, now you have two parts. But you didn't break it. You apply energy. You applied energy, and now it is separated. Energy is separated. That's why without applying energy, you can't break this. Break this if you can without applying energy. You can cut this. Cutting means applying energy. You can smash this, which means you apply energy. You can burn this, which means you apply energy. Whatever you do to this, you apply energy. If this is energy, and if you apply extra energy, then this structure will change. That's why now you can see two separate structures. Now you think that you broke this. Actually, what happened is you applied energy, therefore, you applied energy to energy, then energy changes. You can't cut your finger. You can't break your arm. That is not breaking, because your arm is energy. When you apply energy, now the structure changes. Perhaps you will see two parts. Perhaps you will see black color. If you apply some acid onto your hand, what will happen? If it is concentrated acid, perhaps you will see a hole, because you removed energy from there. If you break, that means you apply some energy. Due to that energy, the entire energy changes. Because this is full of energy, ladies and gentlemen. I'll show you how the electron is formed. We all know about electrons. Perhaps some of you think that electron is an object, because that's how we used to think, and that's how our mind believes. Because our mind believes that everything is an entity. Not only it believes, it practices. And finally, now it thinks like that. It thinks that everything is an entity. It perceives. Naturally, it perceives. Therefore, you think that everything is an entity, because naturally it perceives. But electron is not an object. Electron is an effect. It's a manifestation. Therefore, you can't destroy an electron. Therefore, you can't say that this electron is impermanent. You can't say that this electron is permanent. You can't use these words. When you talk about the reality, you can't talk about those two words, ladies and gentlemen. You can't use those two words, because because you can't apply that to nature. Because nature is full of energy. Nothing is fixed. Everything is a manifestation. Everything is an effect. Nature is an effect. Your hair, your face, your body, your mind, everything is an effect. Therefore, you can't destroy anything. You can only apply some energy. You use energy of nature, and you apply that energy of nature to nature again. Then you will see a different structure. Because if you are, just try to understand this, please. If you are nature, this is also nature. That means you are nature, means this body is nature. This body is nature means this body is full of energy. This is only energy. And this pen is energy. Then you use your bodily energy to break this. That means you apply your body energy to this, your bodily energy to this, and this will change. This structure changes. That's it. You couldn't destroy energy, or you couldn't create energy. If you can remember, conservation of energy, we have learned in science, conservation of energy, which is true. But we have to apply it to the whole, entire universe. You can't just apply into matter. Because if we only apply into matter, then with Sir Albert Einstein's theory E equals mc squared, we can't prove that. But if you can apply conservation of energy to the entire universe, now you realize that it is true. You can't create energy, you can't destroy energy. You can only apply energy. When energy is applied, structures that are made up of energy change. This pen is a structure that is made up of energy. Therefore, here you can't find a pen. You can only find some energy. I can prove it. This is plastic, ladies and gentlemen. Plastic means carbon, hydrogen, nitrogen, oxygen atoms. Then, whatever the structure it has, then between carbon, nitrogen, oxygen, these atoms, there is energy. And if you take this hydrogen atom, it has electrons, protons, neutrons. And between them, it has energy. Then if you take an electron, that electron is also made up of energy. Now, apart from energy, what can you get here? Apart from energy. Therefore, the entire structure is nothing but energy. Then if plastic is nothing but energy, what about this pen? This pen is energy. Therefore, when you apply some energy into this pen, this structure changes. That's why you see that, it's impermanent and it destroyed. That's why you think that you can destroy this pen. That's why you think that you can bend it, you can cut it, you can smash it. Because you apply energy. Then the structure changes. Because that structure is made up of energy. I'll show you the electron. Look at this, please. This is energy, ladies and gentlemen. This is the electron. Electron is not an entity. The electron is an effect. It shares energy. Therefore, you can tell that electron is made up of condensed energy. Look at it and try to understand it. Now here you can see it is in equilibrium. This electron is in equilibrium. Actually, electron, I can't say electron. Actually, I would say this effect is in equilibrium. Dynamic equilibrium. This equilibrium is dynamic. You can see it shares energy. Energy comes in and energy goes out. And something manifests. This is energy. And this is the electron. Now you can see an electron is an effect. That's why the Buddha said, everything is anicca. Can you find a fixed object here? Tell me whether this is permanent or impermanent. Is this permanent? Is it impermanent then? No, it is It is not applicable. That's why I told you, nothing is impermanent in this world. Nothing is permanent. Don't go behind that. Otherwise, when you are vexed, then you can think that, oh, nothing is impermanent, or nothing is permanent in this world. Everything is permanent. This will also pass. Then you have to wait. Suffering is created already, ladies and gentlemen. Suffering has been created. But now you have to make your mind up that this will also pass. Because nothing is permanent. This is not the way. The Buddha taught us. The Buddha taught us a way to stop this process. Due to ignorance, attachment is created. Due to attachment, vexation is created. Due to vexation, a false sense of existence is created. Because of that, we suffer, and because of this vexation, we suffer. When this vexation occurs, we feel that we are vexed, which means you feel that you are vexed. That's also another problem, because you are vexed. If I'm vexed, perhaps you are okay with that. But when you are vexed, again you have a problem, because you have a vexation as well as another vexation, because you are vexed. Then you have to improve your patience until it passes away. By thinking that nothing is permanent in this world, everything passes away. No. If you can eradicate ignorance, vexation won't occur. Then you don't have to do anything to come out of vexation. If vexation is not there, then you don't have to make your mind up by thinking that everything is impermanent, permanent, all these things. See the electron again. This is the electron. A picture paints 1,000 words. You can understand the meaning of anicca by seeing this electron. This is how the electron is formed. Can you find any fixed electron here? Then whose electron is this then? Proton is also the same. And a neutron is also the same. You can see that electron is anicca. You can see that effect. Can you remember that? Can you see that effect? That's why it is called effect. That's an effect. Try to destroy this if you can. If I ask you to destroy this, you should ask that what do I have to destroy? You have to ask that question, because this is an effect. If you want, you can stop this effect. But you can't destroy anything here. But at the same time, you should understand that I never say that nothing is there. It is in between nothing and thing. But people can't understand that part, because the mind always wants to perceive something different, something fixed. Therefore, thing is fixed and nothing is also fixed. Therefore, the mind can perceive these two ends, thing and nothing. But the mind can't perceive anicca. That's why the Buddha had to achieved enlightenment to see this. Otherwise, no one can see this. Because the mind, which is especially ignorant mind, the ignorant mind wants to perceive fixed things, entities. Thing is an entity, nothing is an entity. Therefore, the mind can talk about two ends, but the mind can't understand this process, this effect. This is anicca. If this applies to an electron and proton, a proton and a neutron, now think, when we talk about a hydrogen atom, let's apply that. Now it has one electron, one proton, but if you talk about deuterium, let's put neutron also, one neutron also. Okay. Now here, if this one is an effect, this is also an effect, and this is also an effect. We all know that now. Now then, if a hydrogen atom consists of these three, this also an effect. Let me show you a hydrogen atom now. So the same thing. That's it. I can show you an electron. This is electron. Then proton. You know that electron's mass is minus 31 kilograms, 10 to the power. And proton's mass is 10 to the power minus 27 kilograms. This is only kilograms, ladies and gentlemen. Condensed energy is mass. That's what Sir Albert Einstein once said. E equals mc squared. This is condensed energy, this mass. Therefore, if you want, you can release energy from mass, or you can condense energy and create mass. Now here you can see this arm is energy. It is condensed energy. One day, if we want, we can release this. When it releases, that is energy. Anyway, it was energy. When it releases, also it's energy. Let's take water again to understand this. Water. Water molecule is this. Now, water molecule is that. It is true. Water molecule. Now, this is liquid water. Now, if I want to make solid water, what should I do? Do we have another type of water molecule called solid water molecules? Do we have solid water molecules, liquid water molecules, and gas water molecules? We don't have all these things, ladies and gentlemen. We just need to condense it. We apply more water molecules and we condense it. When we condense, we can get liquid, and if we can even more compress, then it becomes solid. Therefore, if you take an ice cube that has only water, but it is condensed. If you take just water, drinking water, liquid water, then it also consists of water molecules. There is no such thing called solid water molecules or liquid water molecules. When it is condensed, you will see solid. That's the difference between solid and liquid and gas. Now let's apply that to energy. Just imagine that gas water molecules are like this energy. Now that energy is condensed and it becomes liquid water molecule or liquid water. If you condense it even more, then you will see solid water, which means ice. This energy is also the same. That energy is gathered, that energy creates an electron, then a proton, then a neutron. Then these three come together and create a hydrogen atom. That is also an effect. Therefore, I can say that this is a hydrogen atom. When hydrogen atoms and carbon atoms are gathered, another structure is created. That structure is called protein, carbohydrate, lipids, vitamins. Then our body consists of all these things. Then let me show you the body. Oh, if you want, you can see this, because it is the same. Otherwise, I'll show you with the shape. This is you. Then let's see an elephant then. This is it. Let's see a tree. That is it. You all believe that everything consists of electrons, protons, and neutrons. If an electron is anicca, then everything should be anicca. Therefore, you can't create or destroy anything in this world. You can only change. You can change the structure. When the structure changes, your perception will change. I'll prove that as well. Can you understand about this now? Can you understand the meaning of nature? So the meaning of anicca. This is anicca. Now you can see this is an effect. This tree is an effect that is full of energy. Apply some energy, then you can cut it down. You can cut it down. That's how you think, oh, I cut the tree. No, actually what you have to say is, I applied energy and the structure changed. That's it. Without applying energy, you can't do any change in this tree. Because this is full of energy, it needs energy to change. You can burn it if you want. To burn, you need energy. You can throw some acid on it and it will burn. It will burn means actually it is not burning, ladies and gentlemen. It changes the structure. Let me prove that. When the structure changes, you will see different things. See means actually you will perceive different things. Let's take an example. Carbon. There are three compounds. One is charcoal. The other one is diamond. The other one is graphite. Graphite consists of only carbon, and diamond consists of carbon. Only carbon, ladies and gentlemen. But they have a different structure. Let's talk about graphite and diamond. Let's talk about these two. Here, this is the structure of graphite. This is the structure of diamond. Each carbon has 4 bonds. Here, this carbon has this carbon also has the same. This carbon also has the same. This is the structure of graphite, but it consists of carbon, just carbon. This is the structure of diamond. This consists of only carbon. But you can see different characteristics. We use diamond to make ornaments, jewelry. We use that. Can we use this or charcoal? Make a nice ring or necklace? Graphite or charcoal? No, you don't want. This conducts electricity. This doesn't. But this is carbon. This is carbon. Charcoal also has carbon. It doesn't conduct electricity. Only graphite conducts electricity. Now you can see, we talk about the same carbon, but they have a different structure. Therefore, they have different qualities. You can perceive different things, but they are the same. You can perceive different things due to their structure. Not because of they are different. This is only carbon. And this is so hard. Perhaps this is the hardest. But this is a lubricant. If you apply this one to a machine, you can save your machine. But if you apply this will destroy your machine. Because this is hard. This is not a lubricant. This is a lubricant. How? We are talking about the same carbon due to the structure. Therefore, this pen is blue because there is a pigment in this pen. By using that pigment, blue color is created in your mind. That pigment is a structure. This has a different pigment. But both of them consist of carbon, hydrogen, nitrogen, all these things. That means both of them consist of electrons, protons, neutrons. But it has a different structure. Due to the structure, you perceive different things, not because of a different thing. This is not a different thing, ladies and gentlemen. This is not a different object. This object and this object, both of them are the same. That's why we can't say that these are objects. These are effects. Energy is gathered here. Energy is gathered and this manifests here. So as your body. But you feel that your body is yours. You feel that your body is an entity and it is fixed and that is yours. It is unique. When you see these two pens, you think that this is unique. Perhaps you think that this is blue color and this is red. Therefore, it is unique. It is different. You perceive blue color, you perceive red color due to the structure, not because of carbon atom. What is the color of carbon atom? It doesn't have a color, ladies and gentlemen. But when it is in diamond, it is shiny. When it is in graphite, it is like kind of ash color. When it is in charcoal, it is black. But what is the color of carbon? It doesn't have a color. Perhaps I can change this. I can change this structure and let you see red color. If we can create a pigment, we can create red color. If we know the structure. Then tell me about your body. Is it unique? Does it belong to someone? What about these air particles here? Air particles. Can you own them? Can you say that that's my body? Then what's your body? We just need to understand this, ladies and gentlemen. When we understand that, then you will realize that nothing is unique and nothing is special. But right now, everything is unique and everything is special. Especially your body is special. Your body, because you can say that this is mine. Whatever you say, that is mine, that is so special. That's why you had to live with them. You always had to live with them. You can't live without them because you need to perceive, because that is so special. That is yours. When you talk about your children, when you talk about your vehicles, when you talk about your house, if something is special, now you have to associate with it. You have to perceive it. To perceive, you use your eyes, ears, so on. You have 6 sensory organs. You use those sensory organs and try to perceive them, because that is so special. That is so special. This is so special. This is also special because this is red and this is blue. That's how you think. Actually, you think that this pen is red. Don't you? Actually, you think that this pen is blue. That's how. You think that I'm brown. Am I? What is the color of energy? What is the color of energy, ladies and gentlemen? Because I'm full of energy, I have understood it fully. I try to let you understand that. Just tell me, what's the color of energy? Energy doesn't have any color. Yeah? Then if I'm full of energy, how can you say that I'm brown? Perhaps this is not brown, this is black. I don't know what the color you perceive. When I see that, it's kind of brown. Therefore, you think that I'm brown, and sometimes you think that he is black and he is white. Then, oh, they are black, they are white. Let's fight. Let's fight and let's kill each other. How ignorant. Just imagine that. But you have to do that, ladies and gentlemen, because if you think that that object or that person is black, that object or that person is white, now you can see there are two different things, two different entities. Therefore, you try to deal with them separately and differently. Therefore, you always discriminate this world. Sometimes you don't discriminate. Actually, no. All the time you discriminate, but you don't talk about that because you are good. Some people are bad. Therefore, they discriminate and they talk about it. That's called racism. Are you racist? Are you racist? No. Yes. Very good. Very good. Am I brown? Please answer. No, no. I want the truth. I want the truth. How do you perceive? That's it. How do you perceive and how do you interpret it? That's what I want to know. Brown. But you all are good people, ladies and gentlemen. Therefore, you don't show that you are racist. But some people are bad. Therefore, they use that to hurt other people. But still, that is created in your mind because you believe that this is a separate entity and this entity is brown. The Buddha didn't ask us to be good. The Buddha didn't ask us to be bad. The Buddha asked us to be noble. If you can understand nature, then you become nature, ladies and gentlemen. You become noble. When you are ignoble, you can be good or bad. Sometimes you are good, sometimes you are bad. But when you are noble, we can say sometimes you are noble and sometimes you are not. When you are noble, you are noble. When you understand this, you are noble. Because you always perceive the truth. Otherwise, you will perceive an entity here. That entity is brown, then you think that this is a brown man. And again, when you look at me, am I a man or a woman? How do you feel? Because you believe that there is such thing called a man and a woman. You believe that. You think that a man is an entity, a woman is an entity. Tell me the color of a woman. The color of a man. You can tell that if you can find out the color of energy. Because I am full of energy. I am made up of energy. This is only energy. Because of this structure, I have some pigment, which is energy again. Because of that pigment, you perceive a color. You name it as brown. But this is only carbon, hydrogen, nitrogen. Because actually the thing is, I don't eat any brown vegetables. Then how can I become brown? And I'm pretty sure you don't eat any white vegetables or black vegetables. Then we should all be yellow because we use yellow vegetables and we use green vegetables, then we should be green. Then what happened to us? Try to understand this, ladies and gentlemen, then you will be free. Otherwise, when you see different entities, then you will have your views, your own views regarding them. Can I ask a bad question from you? But don't answer this. Which one is better, black or white? Oh, it will be a war. Which one is better? But we cannot another one, brown. Perhaps reddish, brown and yellowish brown. And, we cannot. Which one is better? I don't have to take your answer, but everyone will have an answer for that. Please don't tell that. If you tell that, you will be racist and you will be a bad person. But you have an answer for that, ladies and gentlemen. Because you are, I'm sorry to say this, not you, but you are not noble. You are only good. Not you. I can't say that you are not noble. I can't decide that. If you have understood this, then you are noble. That's it. That means if you accept this as energy, if you accept this as energy, if you accept girls, boys, women, men, everyone, trees, animals, waterfalls, oceans, everything as an entity, then you are not noble. But if you can see them as nature, you are noble. Then you don't have any discrimination in your mind. Because if everything is the same, what is the discrimination you have in your mind? Otherwise, you should try to be good all the time. And the other thing is you have to improve your patience. Because you are vexed, but you can't express your ideas, your feelings, because it is racist. That racism is not good. In order to become a good person, then you should have some qualities. Therefore, you have to maintain those qualities. Then your life becomes a hell. Then you can't treat everyone equally. You try to. Then how can you love others? I can ask 1,000 questions that embarrass you, ladies and gentlemen. If you want a daughter, one question, I'll ask one question. Don't answer these things, but if you want, you can answer in your mind. If you want a daughter, which color should she be? Don't answer. Don't answer. Don't answer. But you answer it. Don't do that. Don't do that. Because automatically an answer comes. Because that's what you want. If you believe that this pen is blue and this pen is red, you definitely will answer. You answered it, and it's not good. At that time, in your mind, you were a bad person. Luckily, you didn't say that. Otherwise, your image would have damaged. That happens. Therefore, you have to be patient. Otherwise, let's practice the truth. Let's understand the truth. This is just energy, and this is also energy. But due to the structure, different perceptions occur in your mind. That's it. Therefore, this red color and blue color is only a perception. That is not in the pen. Therefore, you can't discriminate these two pens. Okay. Let's take another example and understand this. There is a boy. When you see that boy, you feel that, or you feel so uncomfortable. What's wrong with that boy? What can we do for him? Because you feel so uncomfortable by seeing that boy. He's okay. He's just a boy. But you feel uncomfortable. Perhaps you feel some desires or whatever. You feel so uncomfortable. Whose fault is that? That's yours. Then why do you try to label this pen as red? By seeing this, you feel, you perceive red color. That perception occurs in your mind. Then why do you think that this pen is separated and unique and special? And why do you think that these two pens are different? Why do you think that I'm brown and you are white or black? This brown color is created in your mind, not in my arms, my body. This white color is created in your mind, not someone else's body. Then why do you think that man or that this man is brown or white or black? These two pens are different due to your perception. Therefore, that perception is okay, ladies and gentlemen, but don't add that perception to this and make it separate from other things. Perhaps this has a different smell. Then you think that, oh, that smell comes from this pen. Then you can say that, oh, this is a smelly pen. No, that smell is created in your mind. That doesn't belong to this. What your ignorant mind always want to perceive entities. Therefore, whatever you perceive, you add into this entity. Then you believe that this is an entity and this is completely different from other things. Because this has a different color, this has a different sound and smell and taste and touch. And when you think about this, you have different ideas, different thoughts. Therefore, you take all 6 things which are created in your mind, and you add this to the pen, and you decide that this pen is completely different from other things. That's why you can't be nature, ladies and gentlemen, because you don't follow nature's rules. You always perceive entities, then you have to struggle. You have your own opinions, then you have to fight for your opinions. Then how can you have a better marriage life? Better married life? How can you have it? Because you have different opinions, and your spouse has different opinions about the same object. As an example, these 2 pens. You like red color, your spouse likes blue color. But you both can't understand that those are perceptions in your mind. You both are talking about the same thing, which is nature. That's why the Buddha said, If something is anicca, that can't be fixed. Therefore, the Buddha said it is dukkha. Dukkha means a compound. Everything is a compound or manifestation. We can say that easily. Manifestation or an effect. If something is anicca, it should be an effect. It should be a manifestation. If something is an effect, that can't be unique because that is the same. That can't be different. That can't be an entity. That because that is the same. Yadanichan tan dukkam, yan dukkam tadanatta. If something is anicca, that thing should be dukkha. If something is dukkha, it should be anatta. Anatta means it is not different. It is the same. If you can understand that, if you can practice this, and finally if you can realize that everything is anatta, then you don't have to force yourself to perceive things, because whatever you see is enough. Because even though you see something else, that is also the same. Let's assume that you realize anicca dukkha anatta properly. Now tell me, if you wanted to get married after that, how do you choose your spouse? What about the color? What about the sound? What about the smell? Actually, will you choose? Will you have a wanting to get married? Actually, why did you do that? What's the reason, ladies and gentlemen? Because I know the reason. I think you also know the reason. Because you found a special person in your life. You said that he or she is love of my life. That means you found a special person, a special one, because you didn't know that everything is anicca. If something is anicca, that is dukkha. If something is dukkha, that is anatta. Therefore, you found a special person. When you found a special person, you can't leave him or her. You have to associate with that person. How do you associate? How do you associate? It doesn't matter whether a person or an object. How do you associate a person or an object? Very simple. There are 6 ways. There are 6 ways. You use your eyes to associate with. You use your ears to associate with. You use your nose to associate with. You use your tongue to associate with. You use your body to associate with. And you use your mind to associate with. That's what you did. And finally, actually, you have been associating that person until he or she is special. When someone else become, when someone else becomes special, what happened? If you had an experience, don't tell anyone. But if your spouse is special, yes, you want to associate with that person. But if you found someone more special than the other person, your spouse, you will definitely associate with that person. This is how it is, ladies and gentlemen. Not only with people, but also with your clothes, all the objects. That's why when you wear clothes 1 or 2 times, what will happen? You changed it. You changed it because when you love it, love means when you feel that it is so special, then you want to associate with it. You associate with it by seeing, touching, and all these things. I'm pretty sure that you don't eat to taste. You do whatever you can, but you smell it definitely. When you buy new clothes, the very first thing you do is you smell it. Oh, it's a nice smell. That's a nice smell, because you want to associate with it. These are the only ways you can associate with something, ladies and gentlemen. That's why you always see people smell things. Because these are the only things. No, these are the only ways to associate with something. When you feel something is so special, you will definitely try with these 6 things, these 6 ways. You will definitely try. Perhaps you can't do that in front of others in the society, then you know. Everything is the same. When you associate with this pen, you will do that. You will look at it. You will see it. Okay, it's nice. Then finally you will, that's nice. Perhaps you will. And check that. Otherwise, how can you associate this? Okay, let's assume that you like this, which means this is so special. This is so special. Okay. Without using these 6 things, associate with this, please. This is so special for you. Okay. You can't use these 6 senses, these sensory organs. Associate with this? No, you can't. Because if you want to associate with something, you have to use these 6 sensory organs. One of them is touching. One of them is smelling. One of them is licking, which means tasting. That's why you see some people, not some people, almost everyone, they can't just look, ladies and gentlemen. Seeing is not enough. Even with your children, can you only see, watch your children, but don't touch them? Can you avoid yourself by touching them? No. I know that doesn't involve lust. I know that. But I'm not talking about that lust. That lust is lust. We don't have to talk about that. But you want to touch because you want to experience it. That became your life. You always feel something is special. Then you try to use these 6 sensory organs and live your life. Then you will have that emotional roller coaster. Of course, because when you have a special thing in your life, now attachment is created, you get attached to that. When you get attached to that, now a wanting is created. Now you want to associate with it. When you have a wanting, an attachment, vexation is there. Then you try. You try to associate with that. That's how you try to come out of vexation. Therefore, don't ever think that when you want to listen to a song, and when you listen to it, don't ever think that you achieved something. No. But that became your life. Then you believe that is your life. I want to see things, I see things. I want to hear things, I hear things. This is my life. Apart from that, I do a job because I need money to buy things. Because you need to acquire buying power as well. Therefore, you need money. Because when you feel that this pen is so special, just imagine that. If you feel that this pen is so special, you need money to buy this because I'm not going to give this. You have to buy. Then you need a job. That's why you do a job. You only spend perhaps 10% or 20% just to survive, ladies and gentlemen. Because we know that. We use money just to survive. You offer things, the 4 basic requisites, just to live. That's enough for us. Because we don't want to associate with these things. Because we are not vexed. We used to be vexed. Therefore, we had a job. We earned money. When we thought that something was special, we wanted to buy it. After that, we could associate with it. But now we don't want. We just need the 4 basic requisites to live. Because we don't have ignorance. Because we try to achieve wisdom. When we try to achieve wisdom, ignorance disappears. But if you are ignorant, you should do a job. You should start businesses. You should earn money. Because you have to travel. Because you need to see special places. When you see advertisements, what will happen? Because you always see beautiful places, which means special places. When you see special places, you want to visit them. And what do you do by visiting them? You use these 6 sensory organs and try to associate with it. You means your mind, your destitute mind. Your mind became destitute because of ignorance. Therefore, if you want to save yourself, if you want to save your mind, if you want to experience serenity, just eradicate this, ladies and gentlemen. In order to eradicate that, you need to understand the truth. If you can learn something out of this, please practice. Just practice. This is only a structure. Nothing is different. Due to the structure, you feel or you perceive different things. Nature is the same. If nature is the same, you don't have to love. That knowledge is love, or that wisdom is love. If you feel that everything is the same, that is love. You don't discriminate, you don't harm. That is love. Otherwise, when you see something special, you have to love. That's what you do. You love your children because you want them. You protect them. I'm sorry to say this, but the truth is, you protect them. You means the mind. The mind doesn't have children. The ego has children. But the mind wants to come out of vexation. Unfortunately, the mind experiences, or the mind is suffering with ignorance. This ignorance is a disease. The mind is suffering from ignorance. Therefore, the mind is vexed. Therefore, the mind wants to come out of vexation. The mind doesn't want to love anyone. Therefore, your mind never loves your children. But it protects them because it wants to associate with them. That's why when you lose someone that you love, someone who you loved, which means someone who was so special to you, you cry. You cry. You means your mind cries because now the mind can't use that object because it was destroyed. It is not anymore. Now the mind can't use that to come out of vexation. Therefore, the mind cries because it can't come out of vexation, not because of love. But you think that you love everyone and everyone loves you, then you live in your paradise, your mental paradise. You have created that, and you believe that everyone loves you. Therefore, you want to stay with them. Actually, your children love you. Why? Because they are also the minds. The mind wants to protect the object, which is special. Because the mind is so vexed. Because the mind feels or mind perceives that it is so special. Now the mind wants to associate with it. That's the only way the mind has to come out of vexation. You have been deceived because people talk about a drama. You are living in a drama. You believe that you have to protect others. You believe that you have to stay with others. You believe that when something happens to you, the world will be destroyed. Your children will be destitute. They will be homeless. And you have. Because you are the producer of your drama. You always create new things, new separate things, different things, special things. When something is special, you love. Therefore, one day you can say, I love you. The other day you can say, I hate you. When I hate you, I don't want to see you. When I love you, I want you. I want to see you. Just imagine that, ladies and gentlemen. Didn't you hear it from someone? I hate you. Hmm? When someone says, I hate you, and you go in front of him, what will he do? Will he want to see you? No. Because if you hate, you don't want to see. But if you love, you want to see. And today you love someone. Therefore you want to see, you want to hear, you want to associate with. When you hate, you don't want to associate with. Therefore you try to avoid him. This is what happened to you. You have different people in your life. You have different objects in your life. That's why your life became an emotional roller coaster. If you can understand that, everything is nature and everything is neutral, everything is the same. You don't have a choice and you don't choose as well. If everything is the same, why do you choose? You just associate with whatever you have. Try to achieve this life, ladies and gentlemen. Perhaps you might think that this life is not colorful. Because you are addicted to ups and downs. Because you know that when you climb a mountain, there is a steep. Therefore you like climbing mountains. Therefore you love and hatred both. You need them to live. Don't you try to fight with your spouse? Don't you like fighting? Don't you like to get blamed and fight back? Then after that, cook a meal and eat with love. And don't you believe that we fight because of love? You need all these things. Therefore, you don't want to achieve your salvation. Because you think that is my salvation. My wife is my salvation. My husband is my salvation. My children are my salvation. Because they create the life you wanted. Ups and downs. You means I'm talking about the ego. But actually, you are not the ego, ladies and gentlemen. You are the mind, the kingdom of heaven. Unfortunately, you think that you are the ego. Therefore, your life became a hell. Therefore, let's practice. Let's practice anicca. If you have seen anicca, apply that. If you have seen anicca, you will see dukkha. Apply that. Apply that to your life. To each and every object you see, you perceive. And try to understand that nothing is special. Colors are not special. They are also a different structure. They are also manifestations. Nothing is fixed. Then nothing is special. But if you feel that everything is fixed, then everything is fixed and entity, then you feel that everything is special. Everything is unique. Now you can't come out of that. You only need to use these six senses and associate with it. Therefore, your salvation is in anicca, dukkha, anatta. Try to understand that, apply it into your life, and improve your wisdom. When you can improve your wisdom, you will use when you think, when you interpret it. When you interpret something, you always use your mind. Then you use your wisdom. Then if you have wrong wisdom, you will use wrong wisdom and you will decide things wrongly. But if you have noble wisdom, then you will use noble wisdom and interpret things you perceive. Then you don't have to face ups and downs. You will have a placid mindset. And if you want to achieve something, this is the greatest achievement you can achieve. It is ineffable, ladies and gentlemen. I don't have words. I want you to experience it. If you can use things without trying to own them, but now you try to own them first. After that, you try to use them. Because you are addicted to acquiring things. You always want to acquire things. You are addicted to those things. Let's purify this mind, ladies and gentlemen. You can do this. You can do this. I'm pretty sure. Try. Understanding will free you. Yes, understand this. I only gave you some knowledge. Use this knowledge and apply that into your life and transform that into wisdom. Then you can use your wisdom when you perceive. Right now also you perceive your wisdom, but that wisdom is not strong enough to see the truth. Therefore you see different things, different entities, special things, unique things. Therefore you have to associate with them. You commit sins because of that. You should realize that by now. You commit sins because of that. Because when you want to associate with things, you try to buy. If you can't buy, you try to steal. If you can't steal, you harm or kill and associate with it. If this is special, that is so dangerous. Therefore, before I associate with you, I should ask, is this special to you? Then I don't associate with you because you are so dangerous. Well, just imagine that. If you think that this robe is so special, then you will steal this. Or you will harm me and take it. If you think that my head is so special, then you will ask for it on a plate. That's how it is. That happened in history, ladies and gentlemen. If you have read the Bible, you may have found it. That happened. Therefore, please tell me if you feel something special in my body, please tell me. Then I'll run away. That's how it is. I was pulling your leg, but that is the truth. That is the truth. Therefore, if you want to create this world a better place to live, there is only one way. We need to understand the characteristics of nature. That's the only way, ladies and gentlemen. Otherwise, you can create good people just for now. Because when that mind feels something so special, and when it is vexed, it will do anything to come out of vexation. Let's go for a permanent solution. This is the permanent solution, but this is hard. It takes time. It takes time. This is the biggest wound. It takes time, but you need to cure it. Just start. And let's move forward. This is the only thing you can do to heal yourself. If you don't believe this, do whatever you have been doing and see the results. But I'm pretty sure if you practice this, if you start practicing this, definitely you will experience something in your future. Then you will believe it and you will move forward. But just practice what I ask you to practice. You don't have to read all the scriptures. You just need to understand what anicca is, what dukkha is, what anatta is, and practice it. Apply into your life and practice. Then you will see, you will experience this. I can't show you my experiences. I can only talk about that. That is not enough. I want you to experience that. Then you will stop all these things and you will only practice this. Because when you feel that you can heal yourself by practicing this path, then you will leave other things, ladies and gentlemen. But right now, if you don't believe, you won't leave anything and come and join us. But when you start practicing and realize something, a small bit, a bit, then you will leave other things behind and you will come. Because right now you think that other things are so special. Therefore, you have to associate with them. You will come here if your children will be with us, because you have to associate with children. You will come here if your car is with us, because you want to associate with your car. You will come here if we allow you to use your phone, because you want to associate with your phone. That's how it is, ladies and gentlemen. Right now, you feel that everything is so special, therefore you want to associate with those things. That's why you can't come and join us. Not only us, that's why you can't come and practice. Because you can't choose this path because you are not sure. That's why we use these sermons to help you to make sure that this path is correct and this path is the only salvation. And each time I try to do that, and you try to understand that. While I'm preaching, I also try to understand the Dhamma and nature. This is a win-win situation. I practice my path. I want you to practice your path. Finally, we all will be free from suffering. I'll see you next week. May the blessings of the Noble Triple Gem be with you all. Thank you.